Hey everybody, welcome back to Northernlion, Plays Binding of Isaac Afterbirth Plus, the one game I can anchor myself around. No matter how bad the Spire runs get, how dare you. No matter how bad the Gungeon runs get, those have actually been, like, mostly pretty good. Spire's another story, but that's because Spider is the only game on planet Earth that has the courage to actually be difficult. I apologize. It's a weird take. People, they always talk about it. Oh, Dark Souls is so hard. I died 5 times before I beat this boss. Yeah? Yeah? Tried dying on Ascension 20. Literally 100+ times in a row. Then talk to me about what a hard video game is. You know what? Just for that insolence, I'm gonna go to the cursed room. I also like to live dangerously. Well, I'm not trying to be this guy, I'm just saying. Actually, I think, and I mentioned this many times during Sekiro specifically, but I don't actually think that the Souls games are that hard. They're not easy games that you just, like Pokemon Let's Go, without saying anything about its quality, it's an easy game, you know? You see a Pokemon, you flick the Joy-Con, you catch the Pokemon. If you're fighting something made of fire, you use water, and, you know, you basically get it. Souls is tougher than that. You don't just press the same button and win. But it mostly, I think, just requires you to get yourself untilted. You know, you gotta learn patterns. I always, you know, Souls, environments are their own beast, but like Souls bosses, I always compare it to Punch-Out. And you know, even if you haven't played Punch-Out, if you watched any of the Gungeon series, it holds true, you know? You're gonna never beat a boss the first time you fight him in Punch-Out, but after a while you learn their patterns, and the only way out is through, basically. You get what I mean? More or less? Yes or no? That's okay. It doesn't really matter that much. I'm just spitballing here. Let me hydrate after this. I got a little bit of the old hoarse voice. Happens a lot. Been talking a lot. I can tell you, this is going to be gross. I'm going to make the glug, glug, glug sound. You're going to hate it. Here we go. Oh, but it tastes so good. That is good water. Okay. Here's how you do this. A lot of people don't have the fortitude to do what I'm doing here. They're scared of plays this intelligent. I'm willing to do the due diligence. Forgot we could hold 2 trinkets. You know what we haven't talked about yet here is the quality of this run. Despite not really getting anything in the way of good items on the first floor, I mean, HP is like... Well, no, we didn't start with HP. We got, sorry, we did start with HP. We got, Luckfoot from our item room. Yes, we got Luckfoot and Belly Button. Not particularly noteworthy items. Why would you back yourself into this corner? That's just it is an embarrassing approach to take there. We're in a little bit of a scary spot, mostly because I've lost HP for, you know, very bad reasons. But our actual DPS is good. The big negative is HP, and our damage part of the damage per second stat is a little bit below average. I didn't say bad, I said below average. You know, something could be above average and still terrible. Maybe your class is full of dummies. Something could be below average and still amazing. Like, for example, you know, Gangs of New York, perhaps a below-average Martin Scorsese film. Not today! I can't believe... I ran it through the old cerebral processor. I said to myself, Self, you could get hit there, but you probably won't. Shouldn't have walked it through, honestly. Shouldn't have thought... Or should have thought twice about it. Okay, come on. We're not throwing away a streak in its infancy for this. For garbage. Absolutely not. All you gotta do, straighten out, you fly right, get yourself sorted. I popped this immediately because I wanted bombs. Don't think we can use those bombs to get a tinted rock. It's okay. This might be a little much. But I thought, you know what? Let's pop the devil card. This seems like a room where, well, you probably only needed one or the other, but we got everything working copacetic there. Okay. This is also a situation where you very much want to take advantage of your donation machine. That's what it's there for. This is the worst we've played at the start of a run in a little bit. I also actually completely think we should take the gift. I don't think... Well, I was gonna be nice. I was gonna say I don't think, you know, Love Toots or whatever the heck it's called is that bad. But I actually, to be honest, I do think it's that bad. I think since we had an option, we could always go back for it, but for now, let's carry this. The dream scenario would be to get a deal with the devil, then we can get a deal with the devil item for free. We can go back if it's not a spacebar item, pick up the spacebar item we dropped, nothing to worry about. And I'll tell you, from seemingly dangerous territory, it looks kind of hunky-dory right now. We're also at 46% chance of a deal with the devil. Hierophant. Because of Hierophant, we're gonna run things a little differently here. Now, I will pop the gift on the curse room, and I don't know if it works, but I'm willing to try to at least get a spacebar item. Okay, never mind. I'll pop it right here. We got duality. It's not horrible, but it is definitely not what I was looking for. But it's okay. We got the deal with the Devil President. We got a Rotten Baby. That's great news. Duality, you know, with our low HP, this might be one of those situations where it actually is warranted to take deals with the Angel over deals with the Devil. It's not like we have Guppy Precedent or anything like that. Either way, could be worse. What can I say? I got nothing, nothing to concern myself with. Except for, I mean, it would be... Would love some HP. I'm gonna bet on you being a library, and immediately that paid dividends. The only thing I'm worried about is, like, you know, this is... Isaac is very important to my mental state right now. It's very important to my sense of self-worth. If I break a Gungeon run here or there, hey, I'm not a guy who's got, you know, 7 years of videos about Enter the Gungeon. Every time, especially the longer a streak goes on, I get over it relatively quickly, but every time I lose an Isaac run, oh, it takes it out of me. We've come a long way. Back in, you know, Flash Isaac days, we used to have a win rate of like 50%. Now, the game is easier now, I think. But, you know, we've also gotten better. We've gotten more consistent. We've learned to smooth out the badness a little bit. But what that has done is had a knock-on effect, where every time I lose a run in this, it leads to me having like a Tommy Wiseau style, you know, please, sort of breakdown. But luckily those have been few and far between lately. We haven't had to concern ourselves with it too much. Most of the runs we've lost over the, almost over the course of the past like 6 months, have basically been like either 30 seconds of panic leading to disaster on a vulnerable run, or runs where you're like, dude, literally no one in their right mind would have expected you to win this one, so don't sweat it too much. Oh, I just realized, and I should have thought of this, but, you know, my Isaac strategy's a little rusty. I've been away for a bit. I haven't had a big Isaac recording session. I've been recording like 1 or 2 a day. You get out of the groove a little bit, you know? I didn't realize, was what I was going to say, that we have a 100% chance of a deal. As much as I've talked up the deal with the Angel, like, oh, we don't have that much HP, I really want to take a deal with the Devil because it's much more likely to give me a damage upgrade. And I think that's what I'm going to do, especially now that we have Satanic Bible. And, I mean, when you're right, right? Kind of paid dividends instantaneously. You know, I think we're past that point, though. There's a point where, you know, people would be a little upset. They'd be like, he never does deals with the Angel. He always does deals with the Devil. I think now we've all entered We've left our wild oats days, you know? We've settled in, we got teacups, we're in rocking chairs. Hey, remember the pot play NL? Ha, I can't hear you. You know, we're in that sort of vibe, like the seniors home vibe. I'm for it. As mentioned, I am 130 years old. No, that's not true. What do you think it's like living in a senior's home? I should know, by the way, because I worked at a senior's home. So I'll give you my feedback. I think people are doing the elderly a disservice when they assume that living in a senior's home is always terrible. Like, two things always get brought up every time there's like somebody mentions a senior's home or an old age assisted living home, etc., etc. The two stories that always get brought up are, oh, that's sad. And then the second story is, I heard they're like doing it all the time in there. I don't know about that one. Like we weren't like an overnight. We were just like a community center. People would come and hang out. So I can't speak for that. But you know, as long as everything's on the up and up, more power to you, I suppose, right? But the seniors that were coming to this place, they were having a pretty good time. Now, were they, you know, skydiving, if that's your idea of a good time? No. But they'd come in like Monday, Microsoft Windows class. Tuesday, we do a little water aerobics. Wednesday, it's, you know, we're going to teach you basic French or something like that. I think, you know, take it from somebody who's getting older. A lot of my friends, well, not a lot of my friends, a few of my friends are very sensitive, relatively speaking, about their ages. And they're my age, sometimes younger. But I'm very insensitive about my age. I think it's just you got different people or different personalities, whether you change or not, they kind of peak at different times, you know? I read like a book a week from 2nd grade to 12th grade. The 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, etc. It's only getting better with time. I'm only fitting in more as time goes on. If you're the kind of person who's like, yeah, I want to drive my sports car off a cliff, then yeah, or you know, you're playing stuff where like injuries can become a real concern, then yeah, you're gonna, you know, as time goes on, you're gonna run the risk of that lifestyle being a little bit less tenable or even just a little bit less cool. But I think if you know, I think the best thing you can do is commit yourself to keeping an active mind. That's what I learned from these seniors. And yeah, sometimes, you know, there's no way this is not going to come across as like slightly ageist, but when you're very young, the things that you talk about, or the things that old people talk about are boring, okay? That doesn't mean they're boring. It means they're boring to you. To them, it's just exciting, like little chit-chat, you know? Everybody always thinks like, oh, talking about the weather means you got nothing else to talk about. What kind of alien planet are you from? Well, you're supposed to meet a stranger. The first thing is like, oh, what are your thoughts on capital punishment? You make a little idle chit-chat. You know what you ask people about the weather? First off, it's just nice to talk sometimes. But secondly, you gotta get a feel for whether or not this stranger that you just met is out of their mind or not. Sometimes you're like, you know, how about this weather, huh? And they go like, yeah, you know, the weatherman, he's wrong 6 out of 7 days, and then you have a nice little chuckle. Sometimes you ask people about the weather, and they go, yeah, Chinese spies shoot silver missiles into the clouds in order to seed them with rain so that we get less sunlight. It diminishes our crop output. And then you go, I got an appointment. I gotta go. That's where you leave, and then you write a blog post about that, and it goes viral. It gets lots of hits. Help. The stuff that they were doing was not very interesting to me, and you know, of course, as a computer, I'm not gonna say a computer whiz, but as one of those, you know, kids who spent all day on the computer, and thus every time my parents would talk to people, they'd be like, he's good at the computer. When they would, you know, go to Windows class or like how to use Microsoft Word class, I would, you know, turn on my nose a little bit and be like, you guys are so silly. But then, simultaneously, if they asked me versus a 65-year-old man, which one of us can use a loom? Which one of us can use a lathe? I think you know the answer. Anyway, I don't know where I'm going with this. It's been a little bit of a ramble, but I'm just saying keep your mind active, you know? Do some crosswords. If you can't do crosswords, do word searches. Anything's better than nothing, brother. Okay, you know what? You brought me back to this room for a reason. Magic mush. I think it can be sad, you know, because this wasn't a place where people were, like, bedridden. I think it can be kind of like prison, right? It's got to be, like, a little boring. And then the worst is when they're, like, forgotten about, like, their family doesn't visit them because you're like, I'm working hard, sorry, Mom, I only get, you know, 8 days a month to myself. I don't like coming to that place, blah, blah, blah. You got the canasta tournament. What do you need me for? That's where it's sad, obviously. But, you know, I think that comes down to the individual. I think depending on, you know, I mean, you treat people the way you want to be treated. You know what I mean? If you don't want that to happen to yourself, then if you put your parents into that situation, you know, it begets that kind of evil upon yourself, I suppose. Okay, so what am I doing here? I thought at least we'd take that for Bookworm, but maybe we'll take a Thame as well. We'll head down. We're a little slow. We're a little behind schedule. That's okay. We don't need to do boss rush. I don't really want to do that either, though. It's one of my favorite recurring memes, or bits of 2019, is don't be afraid of getting older. I'm very positive about getting older. The thing is, it's like going downhill on a bicycle, okay? Can you, let's say you're going down like Mount Everest, you know? You can slow your descent, and you can, like, you know, descend gracefully if you want. But you're not pedaling all the way back up to the top of the mountain. You're not gonna ever be able to, like, you know, de-age. The best you could do is, like, don't take care of yourself until you're like 50, and then get in really good shape. And people will be like, you look like you're 20 years younger. And you're like, no. I just looked like a bad 50-year-old, and now I look like a decent 50-year-old. You could do that, but you're never gonna get. No one's ever gonna be like, "How old are you? 17?" You know, that's probably not even what you would want to begin with. You gotta try to age gracefully, you know. Treat yourself right on the way. That's my 2 cents, anyway. That's why I started playing Pokemon Go, something to keep my mind active in old age. I did just. Today is. What is it? It's like enhanced raid hours or something like that. So between 6 and 7 p.m., every available gym had a legendary Pokemon raid in it. I've caught 7 Cresselias. I don't even know what Cresselia is. All I know is it's not good enough to be good enough to take down other Cresselias. So I don't really know why I have 7 of them now, but I do have 7 of them. I asked Kate, I said, like, what do you do with these Pokemon? Like, they're not good enough to use in fights. And, you know, I've already got 1 for my collection. And she's like, you know, you just get them to get them. I was like, okay, I can get down with that. And then I realized that people shiny hunt as well. I thought I was like, I got a shiny Pokemon. It's a Dratini. Don't at me. I'm keeping it. I said, Kate, I got a shiny. And she said, whoa, that's really cool. I'm jealous. And I said, why are you jealous? What's a shiny good for? And she said, it looks different. And I said, you know, it doesn't, you know, cost less Stardust to power up or something like that. And she's like, nah. It's just a palette swap. But then we met some strangers out when we were doing the raids, because a lot of people were out there. And every time we saw a Pokemon, they're like, did you get a shiny? Did you get a shiny? I didn't realize the shiny market was like, it's out of control. People go crazy over the shinies. Think anyone's ever been killed over Pokemon Go? I know that people have died playing the game. It's a bit of a morbid thought, but you know your game has reached like a really impressive level of like critical mass when it's connected to a murder. You know, Call of Duty has been involved in a few different murders. Almost every single one has been like trash talk online that escalated too far, and then it's like, well, he drove to my house and killed me. It's very unfortunate. Pokemon Go, people have stumbled over dead bodies. I think one person walked off a cliff or something like that trying to catch a Ponyta. I don't know if there's actually ever been anybody who's like, you got a shiny and I didn't. Bang! So there's still, I suppose, like a way to go. A ways to go. In terms of the game's popularity. I'm not encouraging this, by the way. It's obviously... I don't know if that ever happens in other hobbies. It probably happens in some. Like, I'm sure there's, like, hobbyist paintballers who have gotten upset and killed somebody. Definitely, like, there's been murders at sporting events. Embarrassing, but it has happened. I mean, we had a riot in Vancouver the last time the Canucks lost the Stanley Cup Finals. And no joke, it informs the way I feel about sporting events in the city. When we had the World Juniors here, I was like... World Juniors is a big, like, under 18, or under 20, I guess, hockey tournament. Anyway, I was talking to my parents, and I was like, you know, if Canada loses in, like, the finals, and it's a close game where they lose in, like, a sudden moment or something like that, get the heck out of town. Or if it's a blowout and people are getting trashed, get out of there. You know, we'll come pick you up. But, like, don't hang around too long, because it could get ugly. And then, we didn't have to worry about it, because they lost in the quarterfinals. Didn't even get to play for the bronze medal, so, you know, it was all copacetic. Go Finland. But, you know, I've never heard about that. I'm not saying it hasn't happened. I've never heard about it like you know, there was a knitting incident. Agnes took the yarn that Muriel wanted. Yada, yada, yada. One thing leads to another, and involuntary manslaughter. I don't know. It's just some hobbies, it's not the item I wanted, I'll tell you that much. Some hobbies, they just get the juices flowing. Games are, don't get me wrong, this is not an anti-video game statement. I love video games. I play video games all the time. I play violent video games fairly frequently. I think that games they do something to your brain that can be awesome, but also, might as well check, but also sometimes a little bit dangerous, you know? They trigger sometimes, I think, like the same sort of reward sequence that gambling does. And I don't even mean like in a loot box sense, but, you know, you find yourself being invested. Like, I was doing these raids, you know, depending on your performance in the raids, you get a certain amount of Pokeballs with which to catch the legendary Pokemon that you just defeated in the raid. Sometimes you're not going to catch it, and it's a little bit of a dice roll. I was fine, even though I had 6 Cresselias already. You know, we do the raid, we're catching Cresselia number 7. I got 8 Pokeballs to try to catch it. First 6, it busts out. I'm throwing Pokeball number 7. I'm feeling real emotions. Emotions that are, you know, they're good because you're getting a little excited, you're attached to the game. But also like, Niantic, this is unfair. I used a raid pass on this. Where's my Cresselia? I've thrown 7 excellent, great balls directly into the center. And, you know, take that, plus like maybe a little bit of, you know, a more heated conversation. I'm just saying it gets the emotion going. I think it leaves people only one away. It leaves people in a state where they're maybe suggestible to doing some actions that they otherwise wouldn't be doing. You know what I mean? I think it puts people in a more... And I don't... Again, this is very far from being an anti-game statement, because it does depend on the individual. But I do think that they put people in a state where they're thinking more emotionally than rationally. Like, you ever know somebody, they're like a normal person in most circumstances, but then when they gamble, you know, maybe you talk about it before, and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna bring like $100, and if I lose the $100, that's okay, because it's all entertainment. And then they lose the $100, And you catch them going to the ATM, and you're like, hey, buddy, I thought we were just going to play with $100 each. And you're like, yeah, but, like, I went out so fast that, like, you know, I thought maybe I would just try again and take out, like, another 100. That's all I'm going to do. And then, you know, rinse and repeat, like, 3 or 4 times, you know? That's, well, that's what the pill is here. But that's the same sort of thing that I think can happen with games sometimes, you know? And it's not just, you know, it's alcohol and... sports and television, like addictive television. You're like, one more episode, and then I'm like, Kate, I gotta go to bed, and then she's like, I'm gonna watch one more episode. I'm like, okay. And then you wake up in the morning and you're like, what the heck happened to the Viper? What the heck happened to Oberyn Martell? I haven't seen him in a couple episodes. She's like, oh, you gotta go back and watch this episode. Anyway. Again, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying games can put you into that state. Same thing happens, you know, in PUBG, Escape from Tarkov, etc., etc. Sometimes I find myself, you know, if we do like PUBG on Unity, I'll be like bummed out for an hour after the stream. And then I'll think to myself, I'll be like, why am I like even a little upset? And I'm like, PUBG games didn't go that well. It's a little different because it's got an element of like, not just PUBG games didn't go that well, but usually like Champ said I sucked at PUBG. And then I'm like, you know, you got to go through the internal dialogue with yourself, and you're like, well, do you suck at PUBG? And I'm like, well, yeah. But they shouldn't say it. You know, I get over it real quick. But I've been in the business a long time, let me tell you. Not everybody's got the same chutzpah. So here's how tired I am. It's another like relatively bad night's sleep. I looked at this enemy and I said, "Oh, we're on Mom's Heart already." We are not on Mom's Heart already. That's not Mom's Heart. That's a different enemy. Super Gertie. I was thinking, what do we got back here? Demon Judgment. I think I'm gonna go for it. I don't really mind losing the Eternal Heart. We got a health up pill. I mean, we got lots of valuable prospects there. We really want a DPS improvement, and one of the best ways to make that happen is gonna be, you know, now unfortunately our options are a little limited. So via Demon Judgment would be a good way. Don't do it. Don't do me dirty on this one, please. I'm willing to go a little deeper. Okay, after I said I'm willing to go a little deeper, they hooked me up. Bombs are key. Science, you know, Little Horn is fine. It's fine. Oh, I honestly, straight up thought I was down there. I'm not gonna complain about getting a bad night's sleep, but... It is the worst kind of bad night's sleep, where like, you know, I went to bed with more than enough time to get a great night's sleep, and then like, you know, watched like an episode or something in bed, closed my eyes, and it was like feeling really tired, and then I just woke up and it wasn't even like anxious. Like there's nights where you can't sleep because you're anxious about things. Then there's nights where you can't sleep because you're just an anxious person. I wasn't even anxious, and that was it. Because I wasn't anxious in any way, shape, or form, I was mad that I wasn't falling asleep. And anger is like anathema to actually falling asleep. And then, you know, I was so angry that I'm not asleep, that I can't fall asleep, so I download a meditation app to take my mind off it. And then it's like, if you want to listen to this meditation cast, you gotta buy a subscription. And I went, software as a service, good. It made me even angrier. I wasn't like hulking out or anything, but you know, it was just starts to aggravate you. You know, they say if someone's angry, the worst thing you can do is be like, dude, calm down, because you're like, I am calm. But what they don't tell you is it's the same thing when you're talking to yourself. You're like, you know, you're angry and you're like, come on, man, calm down. And you're like, I am calm. I don't have anything to be mad about. You know what's really, actually, and this, you know, the guy who's a little jet-lagged and not having the greatest sleeps this week, is a rich person to be explaining this. But you know what has actually helped me a lot with that is just recognizing that, you know, I've had a lot of nights where I haven't slept well in my life, and the days have always been fine, you know? That's what I find myself thinking now when I don't get to sleep in a timely fashion. I go, yeah, okay, maybe I'll only get 5 hours, maybe I'll only get 3 hours, maybe I'll get 0 sleep tonight. But you know what? It doesn't matter. I mean, I would like to get to sleep and it's healthier for me for sure, and I'm actively pursuing it, but simultaneously, you've had 0 sleep days in the past. You've had 1 hour sleep days. You're tired, but you go with it for a day and then, you know, try again the next night. A couple of nights of bad sleep's not gonna kill you. You know, if you can detach yourself a little bit from the, you know, be like, I'm tired, so what? It's unpleasant, but that's okay, you know? You'd be surprised, but I don't really like to tell people when I'm tired either. Like, not because I'm worried about being like a burden necessarily, but, and it's not like I'm trying to be surreptitious about it, but, you know, it's it's hard to respond. Wait, if you say like, how you doing, dude, and they're like, tired, that's fine. But if like every 15 minutes you're like, I'm so tired, what is the other person supposed to do? Put you in a sleeper hold? You know, slip some melatonin under your nose when you're not looking? Don't do that, by the way. There's no way to respond to it. It's like, yeah, I've been tired before. You'd be sympathetic. You can be like, yeah, it sucks. But like, after a bit, you know, what are you gonna do? I'd rather not bring up that sort of selfish concern. Now, you know what I'm not shy about bringing up to other people? Hunger. I don't know, because I've lived with myself for 30 years. I know what triggers good moods, bad moods, etc., etc. I can be in a good mood while tired. Tiredness, you know, it does up the crank factor a little bit. You'd be a little bit more cranky. Terrible deals with the devil here, unfortunately. But is food. Food gets me. That's why, to be fair, I always, you know, if I'm starting to get hungry, I give people like a timer. I start to be like, I'm just letting you know, I'm a little hungry. I think if we don't eat within the next half hour to 45 minutes, I'm gonna start to get a little cranky. And there's been times when people have been like, oh yeah, cool. And then like, hey, what do you want to eat? Well, what do you want to eat? 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 I don't want to. Well, we can't go there. Jennifer's a vegetarian. Well, we can't go there. David doesn't eat any vegetables. Well, we can't go there. Susan says that she'll only eat something with potatoes. And then Jeremy says it has to be under $1.75 or he can't go. And, you know, you ever see the movie Dumb and Dumber? Jeff Daniels is trying to, he's gotten a phone number from a beautiful young woman at a gas station, but also his leg's on fire. It's a really cerebral film, if you haven't seen it. There's a lot of moments like that. And at some point, you know, he's starting to lose his mind because his leg's on fire, you know? He's not having a great time, and she's like, well, that's my old number, you know? That's what I turn into. Is like, I'll eat anything. I just need matter inside of me. I gave you notice a while ago. Within 2 minutes from now, I'm going to be walking away. I'm going to go to the 7-Eleven and I'll feed myself, and then I'll go out to dinner with, you know. It is selfish, but simultaneous. It's like biological, you know. I think everybody's got the triggers that set them off. Some people are sleep. Some people are food. Some people are both. Some people are neither, but, you know, they feel like they got socially slighted in the conversation earlier, and that sets them off. And, you know, I think as long as you're open about what your vulnerabilities and weaknesses are. I will eat, like, oh, thank you. Thank you! The run is, we're set. I'm actually going to get rid of Satanic Bible. That's how much I crave the powerful offense. I forgot what I was going to say. I think what I was going to say is, you know, I think everybody's got some stuff that can set them off, you know, that affects their mood. Some people are just kind of cranky by nature, I think. Might surprise you to believe that, you know, people online think I'm a cranky guy. People who meet me in real life think I'm a golden ray of sunshine. I laugh at every joke. Sometimes I laugh at things that aren't jokes. It makes things a little bit uncomfortable. I'm always positive. People are like, you know, oh, I took up basket weaving last week. I'm like, dude, that's cool. Follow your passions. Because I make fun of myself on the internet, people assume that I love nothing. Sometimes they assume that, at least. This is my happy face. Tommy Lee Jones, Man of the House from 2005. I never saw the movie. I've only seen the trailer, but still. I think as long as you're open with it and acknowledge it, that's okay. And I used to, like, Kate has an incredible ability to survive on a limited amount of food. It wouldn't surprise me. Some of the days that we were in, well, particularly the day that we came back from Japan, we were like mirror images of one another. I mean, not literally. That would be very bizarre. But, you know, I probably, you know, between the plane and like the nap that we took when we got back to Vancouver, over the course of 36 hours, I probably slept for like 4.5. She slept for like 20, and I was happy for her. Over the course of the 24 hours where we were specifically traveling, I probably ate, it wouldn't surprise me if I ate 4,000 to 5,000 calories. On purpose. And not just like I'm bored, but also like I'm hungry. I think she probably ate like 700. We got different triggers. So it used to be, you know, sometimes we'd be in a different time zone, and my wife would be like, "I'm tired. I think I should take a nap." And I'd be like, "Do you really want to take a nap? I mean, we got to see the sights. You know, you're not always in Belleville, Ontario." And I used to think I knew her better than she knew herself at the time. This is a very valuable lesson to learn. You know, if somebody tells you they're tired enough they want to take a nap, you're not going to talk anybody out of a nap the same way you're not going to talk anybody out of a meal when they're hungry. We've learned, we've grown around each other. And we got like an emergency protocol. You know, if Kate's like, "I need to sleep," I'm like, "All right, sorry boys, we're out. We're going back." And if I'm like, "I need to eat," Kate's like, "We're going to this restaurant right here." You know? Just how if you want to be happy, you gotta be open, I think is what I'm trying to get at there. I don't know. To be honest, I've been rambling over the course of this whole episode, but not in a bad way, I think. It took me a while to get to this point. I remember specifically, I went out, I was in Toronto probably 10 or 11 years ago with a bunch of friends of mine, and I didn't tell anybody that I was getting hungry, you know? I do. So I don't know if I have a fast metabolism, but I eat, like, I get hungry really easily. I eat many, many times throughout the day. Obviously, because I'm working out now, like, you know, I need more energy to begin with. But even when I'm, like, very sedentary, I'm like clockwork. Like, every 3 hours, I get near famished, even if I ate a big meal 3 hours before. I didn't tell anybody. You know, we ate breakfast at the same time. We had the same amount of food. We ate lunch at the same time. We had the same amount of food. Mid-afternoon rolls around. I actually start to get, like, what's the word? Hypoglycemia? Start to get, like, low blood sugar to the point where, like, got, like, a little... No, I wouldn't call it confusion, but a little, like, brain fog and, like, this weird... It almost feels like you got, like, a big ice ball in your stomach, but you're really, like, sweaty at the same time. And you're like, "I need to eat right now." And you know, your mood is just crashing. And then I told it to them. I was like, "Guys, I gotta eat right now." After I ate, copacetic. But the 2 hours in that period, I was like, this is what it feels like to die. Or maybe to, like, literally have diabetes. But anyway, for now, thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the episode. If you did, click the like button. Helps out a great deal. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For now, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. See ya!